Man, Missouri is at it again. I'm not sure if I'm going to title this Missouri, the gun-lovingest state in the union, or Missouri fighting for guns, or whatever. But Missouri is like I said, is at it again, and this is really important. Not really. Well, yeah, no, it's really important. But it's important because someone's fighting for the gun rights. But it's really interesting to contrast Missouri and Virginia. So Missouri is looking to make the entire state a gun sanctuary, more or less. There's a bill in front of the Senate right now, and it's in front of the House, that would make gun sanctuary maybe not the most entirely accurate way to say it, but it's probably the easiest way to say it. So what's going on? And if you've been with the channel for a while, we did a video on this last year. The bill came up last year. It was Senate Bill 367, and this year it got stalled out in committee. And I have been told that we don't want to publicize the name of the two senators or the two Republicans. I think is what it was. I'm not sure. But two people stalled it out in the Senate and couldn't get it out of committee where it was going to pass the Senate. So it's been reintroduced this year as SB 588, the Second Amendment Preservation Act, and then there's an identical bill in the House. This is Missouri State House, obviously, Missouri State Senate. It's HB 1637 in the House. We're going to be doing a lot of stuff on this. It's really exciting. We really want to help support our, and one of our own is heavily involved in this. Jimmy D, and I'm sorry, two of our own, and David Burden are heavily involved in this movement and are just burning up the phones and trying to make connections and allies, and they're meeting some interesting people, and they're getting invited to some interesting places. So we're very, very proud of them. But even if it wasn't two of our own, and now three of our own now, but we've met someone else that I'll talk about in just a minute, we would still want to help support this. So what the bill would do is it's called the Second Amendment Preservation Act, and again, contrast this to Virginia, is it would make it illegal for any state agency of any kind in Missouri to assist the federal government in enforcing federal gun laws. And now, men, when we're wrong, we got to admit we're wrong. I've been very, very angry in the past about immigration sanctuary cities and states legalizing marijuana, although I have actually changed my mind on that, but that's a whole different video. Not that I think marijuana is a good thing. But I've been mad in the past about like these immigration sanctuary cities. Well, it's a thing. So what this is based on is called the anti-commandeering doctrine. And I got to give a shout out to two guys first. I'm not sure if he uses his name on his channel, but there's the Truth, Money, and Freedom podcast, who is working side by side with Jimmy D and David Burden on this in Missouri. And I've got a chance to talk to him recently. And he then directed me to the Missouri Liberty podcast. And Missouri Liberty probably has the best take on this so far, according to Truth, Money, and Freedom. And I just watched Missouri Liberty's video, and it's very, very good. I will link both videos in the description, and I might even be able to get them on the end of this video, hopefully. The last time I said that, though, I didn't do it. Anyway. So those two sources are the best explanation. I'm just making you aware of this right now. So it's the anti-commandeering doctrine, and it kind of first came around. This is the same doctrine that let the northern states opt out of enforcing the Fugitive Slave Act, which was like 1853 or something. I think it was 1853. The Fugitive Slave Act, which you've all heard of before. It was this big deal in the run-up to the Civil War, where the southern states they dominated Congress, and they got this Fugitive Slave Act passed, where if any escaped slaves were caught in the North, they had to be returned. And they went to the courts and everything, and they came out with this anti-commandeering doctrine. And it's been used before, even recently. It featured in the Obamacare decision and some other things recently. This is a real thing. Those immigration sanctuary cities and states, they have a point. They have an argument. But now we're going to get to use it for our side too. So Missouri is basically applying this doctrine, which has been tested in the Supreme Court recently, which, we all want we all want big things. We want to go back to the way things were, and big bold change, and you know, we're talking about what's going to happen January 20th in Richmond. And this isn't revolutionary. This isn't some gigantic, you know, flaming brick thrown into the middle of you know, a TNT factory. This is something that has a really good shot at working, and that's a good thing, because so much of what we talk about these days, you know, because you know, well, we're right when we say these things. When we talk about our rights and the way things were, we're right. But the modern world doesn't recognize that, and this anti-commandeering doctrine, which basically says the federal government cannot commandeer the states to enforce federal policies, that the feds have to enforce their own laws. And in the past, the way the feds have gotten around this is they've just attached all this money. They say, well, seatbelts are a real good example. Well, if you pass seatbelt laws, we'll give you all this money for roads. And then that's how they get the states to do their bidding. And they do that all sorts of ways. That's how the National Education Act, that's how the feds got involved in education. Because the feds can't necessarily pass laws that force the states to do what they want within reason, but they can pass laws that say, oh, we'll give you a bunch of money if you do what we want. Well, this law, this anti-commandeering law in Missouri would say that we will not help you enforce any gun law. Now, actually, it doesn't actually say any unconstitutional gun law. It says any gun law other than Missouri law. So in theory, if the Missouri legislature got captured, this actually doesn't. It's a good thing. I'm not criticizing it at all. I'm a big fan. I'm not being cynical, but we're just being honest about what it is. And this is not where they want to stop. I can't talk about some of the things that I was told, but there's steps past this. So it's really good, interesting things happening in Missouri. So what's the call to action? Right now, not a whole lot. We don't want to start blowing up phones. If you live in Missouri and you want to get involved, send me an email and I will put you in contact with someone who will get you involved. They don't know that, but at some point in the near future, we might start asking Second Amendment supporters everywhere to start blowing up phones. So just so you're familiar with the topic, while Virginia is trying to go full retard on the Second Amendment, Missouri is trying to protect it with Senate Bill 588, the Second Amendment Preservation Act. This is good news. It's exciting. It shows that we can still win, that the whole world hasn't lost its mind, even though the vast majority of it has. And also House Bill 1637. So there's good news. We can be optimistic, not wildly optimistic or foolishly optimistic, but there's still hope. There's still reasons to fight. There's still reasons. The system isn't completely broken yet. Or I'm sorry, no, let me take that back. The system isn't so broken that we can justify not trying to work through it. I'm gonna catch crap about that. I'm not saying the system is the only way to work through, or anything done outside the system is illegitimate. I'm saying it's not so far broken that we can justify completely not trying to work through it, at least to the extent we can. And this shows that we can. Missouri Senate Bill 588, the Second Amendment Preservation Act, is a good thing. It's good news. I know we got excited last year and it didn't make it. We didn't get across the finish line, but it's back. And the battle lines are drawn a little sharper. People are a little more attuned. If we weren't paying attention before, Virginia has shocked us all to the core. I don't know why we wouldn't have been paying attention before. Even the little counties around me here in Georgia, one has become a gun sanctuary county. There's another one that's going to vote on it here in like 2 weeks. And I'm talking to a group of men here in my county who we're going to do something on it. So people are waking up, people are getting organized. It's not just grumbling, oh, they ever come from our guns, I'll give them to them one bullet at a time. People are doing things of substance. And we're starting to get state senators and state reps. They're not in the upper tiers of the elite, but these are the ruling class who have been asleep for so long, who have been so complicit in our decline. They're starting to wake up. Not many of them, some of them. There's one guy, there's two of them we're going to talk about who are the good guys. One we talked about last year, his name is Eric Burlison. He's the state senator. Apparently there's a House rep whose name I don't have yet, who is doing good work in the Missouri State House too. I'm going to put links in the description to my email if you want to get involved, and I will forward your email on to someone I know who's involved, to this video from Missouri Liberty. It's a good channel. Well, I'm take that back. It's an excellent video. I haven't watched the rest of his channel. It's a small channel, but this is an excellent video, and he deserves to be much bigger. I like his video better than I like my videos. And then Truth, Money, and Freedom Podcast, who is a channel I've known about for a while. I've seen their videos suggested. I've watched his videos before. Just they got suggested to me. And he is the one who's brought this to my attention. If I can find the text of the bill, and I'm sure I can, I will put a link in the description of my video. It would be a simple internet search, Missouri Senate Bill 588 or House Bill 1637 would get you right to it. But if I can find an easy link that goes straight to it, I'll put it in the description. This is exciting news, man. This is good stuff. And we may have to come alongside our Missouri brethren. Missourian? I don't know how you'd say that. We may have to come alongside our Missourian brethren some point and make some noise for them. We're all pouring a lot of emotional energy and even physical treasure and time into Virginia when we've got a state over here that we're winning in, and we don't want to drain all of our resources over to Virginia and let Missouri flounder over here when they really seem to be carrying the torch right now. Kansas actually made this law at one point. And I think Kansas already has this law. So it's not like Missouri's the first. I think Missouri has learned some lessons from Kansas, and they have tweaked their law to work a little bit better. But there's an interesting story around that Kansas law that I might do a video on at some point. But I say all the time I'm going to do all these interesting videos. I never do them. But the Kansas situation was interesting. There you go, man. I will keep saying the same things over and over. So anyway, props to Missouri. They're doing it again. Props to Eric Burlison. Props to Jimmy D and David Burden and their buddy who, I don't want to use his name, but it's the guy who runs the Truth, Money, and Freedom podcast who are putting so much into this. We appreciate you, man. Thank you.